being part of a quasi-government private army running around, overthrowing governments, overthrowing our government in 1963, blowing Kennedy's head off. And we're all supposed to be in awe of secret agents because of all the TV shows and movies. I'm not in awe of any of it but your crimes. And let it be remembered, I'm a liberty lover. I'm someone who wants freedom. I'm someone who can recognize corruption. I was watching some of their ads, and it's like, do you like ambiguity? I mean, that's telling you right there. Do you like, being a crook? Well, join the CIA. All right, I'm done ranting about this. We've got some big developments on the TSA front I'm going to get to here in a few minutes with our guest. But just recapping what I was getting into, Walmart interested in wine vending machines, where you got a breathalyzer and biometrically scan your driver's license. This is going in all over the world, getting you ready for the cashless society and the national sales tax. Granny ticketed $100 for throwing out newspaper in New York. The Green Police. Fingerprint scanner use raises privacy concerns. They're going to thumb scan anybody pulled over in America. UPS requires photo ID for shipping. CNN. Now, here's the last one. New rules, you and the IRS this January. The new Obamacare 1099 rule for reporting of all cash, credit, and check business transactions of $600 or more is scheduled to begin in January. This is really an extension of the 2008 Housing and Recovery Act IRS rules that start this January, when merchant banks and PayPal will report business sales directly to the IRS. The reporting threshold is $20,000 or 200 transactions a year. So the smallest businesses online are getting 200 transactions a year. Most little eBay accounts have 200 transactions a year. So what did they just calmly report there? This is being reported by the AP, Reuters, like it's a great thing. They just reported there with a straight face that everything you're doing in your business is being sent directly to the government. No judge, no jury, no warrant. Well, what did Wired Magazine report last week? All your credit cards, all your customer loyalty cards, those companies are all being paid to run that directly through the government. This is more intrusive than the fictitious 1984 or the real East German Stasi in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, up until 89. This is the opposite of freedom. And they're just now announcing to you what's already happening, okay? So it's secret what the Federal Reserve's doing, but what you're doing is out in the open. And they can use this to track you, to control you, Google, when you go put something in Google, I'm getting answers. Well, they're getting answers about you building that dossier. They are an admitted CIA, NSA creation. So is Walmart, folks. From the beginning, Sam Walton, you can go do the research, CIA set up. They use their couriers and trucks for you can imagine what. It's a mafia. So, of course, they're involved in the adoption of RFID and the Universal Product Code. Of course, they're the first to put in telescreens. It's not just going to be Janet giving you orders. It's going to be endless streams of look for this person, look for that person. They're coming out with license plates that have government messages on them saying the license plate is the government's property on your car. This is all happening. And it's run by a government on record in congressional hearings in 2004, 2005 that allows DynCorp and Halliburton to run giant industrial sex slave rackets, white slavery with women and children. And no one gets in trouble. I mean, these are the worst people. And they look at anybody who isn't pure evil as a schmuck, as a dolt, as an idiot, as this is the way it is. And they've got endless armies of control freaks who love it. That's why they've tried to corrupt society so that good people wouldn't stand up against them. So when you sign on to this criminal government, you sign on to children being raped and then having their heads blown off with .357 Magnums and snuff films. That's what goes on, okay? That's who runs this country. People that like to blow children's heads off. People that like to rape children in front of their parents. That's in the Army's own report on Abu Ghraib. And Bush says he'd do it all over again. He'd give the orders again. John Hughes orders. Alberto Gonzales memo about crushing children's testicles with pliers. That is land of the free, home of the brave. And Americans watch Jack Bauer doing similar things and fantasize about it and become synthetic psychopaths. We are on a journey into absolute hell. And they're trying to test us now to see if we go along with it. All right, I'm done ranting. Our guest is on hold. Big developments on the TSA front. And if you're doubting me, the Army's own reports, I've had the former head of the Army DU program on, Dr. Doug Rocky, physicist and doctor. Their own reports that are public said you breathe in a few microns of this, you're going to get lung cancer. You're going to get liver cancer. You're going to get urethra cancer. You're going to get kidney cancer. It's going to kill you. It may take 10 years. They started using it 20 years ago. Now they use it everywhere. They just don't care. Just like they don't care these radiation scanners are going to end up killing the people that are using them. Just like they got 500 mobile vans, super high power that dwarf chest x-rays, looking through your walls, no shielding for the operators. They don't care. They know the operators are in a self-induced mind control television culture trance. Think about it. People are actually in a trance, and they will get in those vehicles and kill themselves. You know, almost all of them within just a few years will come down with cancer. We've had medical doctors on and radiologists. They don't care. If they can run child kidnapping rings and have the troops breathe DU and announce they're going to take the troops' health care away, we're in a soft kill concentration camp. Okay? But they're not ready to move yet. They're starting to announce they want to censor the web. They're starting to announce they want to censor the internet. They're starting to be more bold because they're getting ready. And they're going to stage false flag attacks. I talked to Ventura. He said he could feel it. He can see it getting ready. I agree with him this morning. They're going to go for broke. And you'll see all the American flags go out and all the worship of the homeland security neighborhood spies when they nuke a city or when they release a bioweapon. And I'm telling you, they're the ones that are behind it, just like they're behind everything else. And all of you TSA people and all you FBI people and you CIA folks that are compartmentalized and think you're the good guy, so you were put in a different compartment on the light side, you better grow up right now and realize, and you intellectually know I'm telling you the truth. In your gut, you've got a survival instinct God gave you. You know this is real. From the heart. You know I'm risking my life to do this. It's not a risk. I care about this species. Even more than I care about my wife and children. Because they don't have a future if I don't stand up. And we're all in danger, and that's the way it is. And I'm all in. I'm like, God, I'm going in all the way. I'm hardcore. Energize me. I'm ready. That's the end of it, terrorist. Child rapers, we're coming for you. You understand that? You may use your 501c3 brainwashed churches to tell Christians it's the end of the world, so they stand down and go along with this. But we're going to rebuke you. All right, I'm done ranting. And I'm sorry to have our guest holding. We'll hold him 5 minutes in the next hour, the head of Dr. Marcola. But I wanted to get an update from Gary Fielder, law.com. Gary Fielder, criminal and constitutional lawyer from Denver. He sued and got him to stop body scanning under 18s at the courthouse. He's done a lot more on that front. And now he has filed for injunction against cousin Janet and the TSA. And I wanted to get an update from him on what he's doing. Gary, good to have you on with us.
Mr. Alex Jones, thank you so much for having me on your show.
What do you think of the stuff I just covered in the last 5 minutes?
Well, that was an eye-opening experience. Every time I listen to your show, I learn more and more. And there's not a part of it that I can say you're exaggerating 1 millimeter. It's coming down the line. All of us see it, from grandma to the little kids. They all see it. And all you got to do is point it out. Like, for example, when you talk about TV, anybody that watches TV ought to know that they're being brainwashed at a very sophisticated level. And so when you're walking around Walmart, you might even consciously disagree with what you're hearing or what you're seeing, but they're bombarding our subconscious.
Yes.
And they're implanting it in a very sophisticated way to keep our subconscious in fear so that our conscious mind ultimately reacts to that fear.
And in fear of each other. You've got this authority figure on a big TV telling you to watch everyone when we should be watching her. She works for the terrorist.
Well, I am not enjoying this experience of putting my name on a pleading next to hers. That's for sure. And I have nothing personal to say about her. But when you're just a little bitty person and you take on the largest country in the world, it does make me feel a little apprehensive. And I know that there's a gentleman in Little Rock, Arkansas, that's filed, I think, a somewhat similar action. But in this circumstance, being a lawyer, being at least educated on this particular issue, I felt it was my duty to file something, to get this not only in the public eye, but to get it in the courts so that we hear from them. I want to know what the judge has to say. And it's going to be a very sophisticated approach. It's going to come down to expert witnesses. It's going to come down to how well I, move myself through the procedure, which is always a matrix that, as a small person, as a lawyer that is a solo practitioner in a small family office, I'm going to be going up against the United States Attorney General's office, and I doubt they'll concede my petition.
No, you have a lot of courage, but I would surmise, and correct me if I'm wrong, at your gut level, because you love humanity and you're a decent person, you must sue Napolitano. You must put yourself in their sights, because if we give in, they're going to roll over us anyway. So all we can do is stand up against them.
And I'm telling you, Alex, this is not just some esoteric issue that I'm bringing before the court. I had heard that they were moving in the direction of these body scanners throughout the country. They have 2 of them here in Denver, but they still have sort of a standalone metal detector that you can choose to get in that line. And when I went to San Diego for my 20th year law school reunion, I took my children along because it was just going to be a long weekend. We had plans, and we did go to SeaWorld, and we really enjoyed some beautiful weather. But I was not aware that in California they had changed the policy so that you had to choose between the body scanner and the full pat-down. I had always sort of convinced myself that at every level I could talk my way out of it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's psychological warfare. They always give little outs, but then close them down slower and slower, because they know if they give an animal, this is animal psychology, an escape route or a believed escape route, they won't turn and fight. And then they want to get you finally cornered and then chew your guts out.
And if you have gone through it personally, then it's more than just an intellectual issue. It is a degradation of your human rights.
Look, I had Ron Paul on. They actually grab his genitals. I mean, this is the new America.
I walked up there, and I had not seen the sort of backscatter X-ray machines. I had seen the twirly ones that you get into, and those look a little ominous. But these backscatter ones, they just look like 2 big black carpeted boxes. And everyone was lined up, and no one was opting out. So when I got up to the actual secured area, and of course we're experienced travelers, even my small child, we know to put the sandals on, wear very light clothing, we load our things in the bucket very quickly. We're very experienced travelers. So when I walked up there, I asked the gentleman, I said, "Hey, what is that?" And he said something that included the word scanner. And I said, "Well, we're not going into that thing at all." So immediately you get led around into a secured area, and, they got a little spot for your feet to go, and you're disconnected from your property. You're in their jurisdiction, you're on their land, and you have 2 choices at that point. Either stay where you're at, which for us was 1,000 miles from home, or be subjected to this body scan.
And now they're expanding to the Walmarts, the highways. This is the Nazification, the Sovietization of America. Stay there. I want to finish your story, but then I want to get into your lawsuit and where this is going. Ladies and gentlemen, you notice how fast things are moving now. They are attempting a total soft coup.